All right, on today's episode of Python Papi, we're back inside our TensorFlow course, and we're still doing our malaria model subclassing module. Let's have a look at what we went over today. Now, yesterday, if you recall, we were in the process of building our subclass model. So let's go over the things that we went over today. We actually got it done. So let's get another read and see what we got done. Okay, so now let me get everything steady. Now we will be able to build our model. We will be using the net model first. We'll take the feature extractor function version that we created. But before copying and pasting, we'll have to ensure that we have created the feature subclass, which is the feature extractor from our subclass model we created. Let me show you that really quickly, show you what that is. So that's just this right here. That's what we're talking about, the feature subclass. We had to do that first before we can actually start building our subclass, our net model. Okay, we could always pass in the parameters like number of filters or the kernel size via this define init function that we created in our model subclass, or our subclass model. Let me get and show you that here. We're speaking about this here, our define init. This is how we pass our parameters in. It wasn't like this before. It was just the self, but now we have parameters passed into the define init function. Now we can specify filters and kernel size like this. And you can see here we actually wrote it out. Self, filters, kernel size, strides, pattern activation. See line 220, it's the line I just showed you. Now once we pass in these parameters, we no longer need to specify them in ourselves. See lines 223 through 236 for comparisons. So let's go back up really quickly. So things got moved around. So we're just it's line 222 now. But as you can see here, this is the new version that we have here. Take a good look at it. And the original is commented out right underneath. Let me move down some. So you can see this is the original version. We have our filters equals 6, kernel size equals 3, strides equal 1, pattern equal valid. And we have the filter 16, kernel size 3, strides 1. As you can see, that's different from the one we're actually using. We don't have those values anymore. So yeah, that's the difference that we were talking about. So we don't have to specify those values anymore now that we pass those as parameters. Okay, let me see where we are. Okay. Note max pool 2D keeps its strides equals 2 parameters and it gets modified to strides equal 2 times strides. Let me show you that. Lines 224, 228. Or it's not 224, 220 because it got moved down, but they're right under each other. So here you can see we have our strides equals strides, or strides equal 2 times the strides, and strides equals 2 times the strides. So it wasn't like that in the original. In the original, let me show you really quickly. It was just strides equal 2 and strides equal 2. So it got modified so it can fit everything. Now that we have defined all of that, we are ready to pass in these values. So we simply copy all of the values from define init from line 220 that I just showed you and pass them as parameters in our feature extractor. See line 275. Well, it was 275 before we added more notes and did some moving around. But yeah, we're talking about this line here. And as you can see, it doesn't actually reflect, or it does reflect what we have, but not in the same way. So let me read why. Now, once we have our parameters copied and pasted, we can specify their values. No, these values we actually replace. These values sorry about that. These values will actually replace the words and stand alone as parameters. So that's why you see those values in place of the words inside of our feature extractor. So this is for the filters here. This is for the kernel size. This is for the pool size, I believe. This is for the activation. No, this is for the padding. This is for the activation. And this is for the pool size. So the one is for the stride. Sorry. So we have our 8 filters, 3 kernel size, 1 stride. Padding is valid. Activation is regular. Our pool size is 2. So as you can see, these values actually took over and stand alone as the parameters instead of the actual words. Now that everything is defined, we will ensure that we have our times 2 specified for our COV2D filters. Let me show you that really quickly. See line 226. I doubt it's still 226, but it should be in the area. and we're talking about this here. Cov2D equals, I don't know, filters times 2. So that's the only one that gets changed. The first cov D doesn't get that. The first cov D is just a filters equal filters, but the cov2D gets the filters equals filters 2. As you can see here, this is cov2. Let me show you the cov1 just so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. See, this is the cov1, filters equals filters regular. Cov2, filters equals filters times 2. Just to distinguish the two of them. All right, also note to avoid a value, we have to modify our cov2D1, cov2D, in a pool size, C lines 222, 225, 227, and 230. So that's going to be these here. Before we modify them, they were just regular. It was just regular filter, kernel size, strides, padding, and activation. But it did throw an error, so we had to modify it so we can read as filters equals filters, kernel size equals kernel size, strides equals strides, padding equals padding, activation equal activation. And we did that for both covs. So we did that for the cov1 and the cov2. And we did that for the max pool size. Before we modified the max pool, it was just a pool size and pool size. But now we have pool size equals pool size and pool size equals pool size. Okay, with all of that done, now we can run our program, which I have already done. So let me get ahead and show you. All it was doing was producing another model for us. So we should have 4 models now instead of the 3 that we originally have. So you can see here we have one, our first model. Let me move this up some. Sorry, touching the wrong things. Okay, let me get to do that. All right, so this is our first model here. You can see our first whole model is a Lynette model. 46 main parameters. Then we have our feature extractor. You remember that one, which is the parameters of 100 or 1136. Then we have another whole model, which our feature extractor replaced the cov-Ds in this place to give us another whole model, 46 million parameters. And this is our subclass model here. You can see it returned to us another whole model. How do we know that's our subclass? Let me show you here that we actually created it. So this is our feature subclass here. This is that information here. And I actually renamed it subclass model. So if it says subclass model, we know that it actually produced and came up properly. So let's get in the look. And as you can see, our last model name, subclass model. So yeah, these are just all different ways of how we create models using different activations and scopes and things like that, different tools and programs. So yeah, that's all we're really doing is just creating different models in different ways. So the original was the what do we use first? The sequential model. So we done that one. Then we did the functional API. We've done that one, and now we just done the subclass model, which is this one here. And as you can see, everything came through smoothly, and we actually got back a whole model successfully. See our 46 million parameters, 46 million change trainable, 2,244 non-trainable. So everything moves forward successfully. So you can see here now we have successfully created our model subclass layer. So yeah, so things are moving right along in our TensorFlow course. I did do some math, but I'm not going to show you any of that right now because I'm pretty sure the video is long enough. But I probably will show you some tomorrow. We'll see how things go, how our videos length end up being. But of course, I will keep you posted every step of the way. For now, this is the Python Papi. You guys stay Gucci.